My name is Reagan Devines. This is From the South. Here in Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro, during a press conference with international press on Tuesday, compared the country's violent protesters to the white supremacist rioters who marched across Charlottesville in the United States. Maduro says he hopes the people of the United States will be saved from fascist hate, drawing reference to the 29 people who were set on fire in Venezuela only because they were perceived to be Chavistas or because of the color of their skin. He also noted the hypocrisy of global media outlets that have remained silent about the well-documented and widely reported hate crimes committed by Venezuela's opposition. Members of Argentina's major trade unions hit the streets on Tuesday to demand more job availability and to protest against the economic policies of President Mauricio Macri and his government. Tens of thousands of workers gathered in the historic Plaza de Mayo, criticizing Macri, who is trying to lower labor costs. The president thinks that it would attract investment and jumpstart the economy. Trade unions disagree.
Piensan que bajando salarios, precarizando condiciones de vida de nuestros trabajadores o destruyendo las organizaciones sindicales, las inversiones van a hacer colas para llegar a nuestro país. Le decimos que están muy equivocados.
During street protests in Nicaragua, hundreds of former fighters behind the Sandinista revolution that brought President Daniel Ortega to power are demanding their pension payments. They want better pensions, housing and healthcare under Nicaraguan Law 235, which guarantees the rights of retired veterans as well as those disabled by the Nicaraguan resistance movement. Ortega was the leader of the Sandinista movement that toppled the Somoza family's brutal dictatorship in 1979. Fighters who took part in the revolution said they are the reason that Ortega won re-election in 2011. Indigenous Peruvians who live in Peru's largest oil field have seized installations operated by Frontera Energy Corp. They are demanding that the government apply an indigenous rights law before signing a new 30-year contract with the company. The law, passed back in 2011, requires the government to seek input from indigenous people before approving any development plan that affects them. However, native communities say the government of Pedro Pablo Kuczynski is refusing to apply the law. Organizers said that more than 1,000 protesters, most armed with spears, now have control of an oil drum and other property of Frontera, curbing production that was about 10,650 barrels per day in August. Angolans headed to the polls in a parliamentary election, which is expected to usher in the ruling party's defense minister as the first new leader in 38 years. Voters are hopeful that the elections will bring about meaningful change in their lives. President Jose Eduardo dos Santos announced in December that he would not seek re-election. The Saudi-led coalition has carried out airstrikes near a Houthi-run checkpoint north of the Yemeni capital, Sana'a, hitting a small hotel and at least 35 people. The attack took place among several airstrikes carried out in the town of Arhab, about 22 miles north of Sana'a. A.K. Mittal, the administrative head of India's railways, has resigned after 2 train derailments in 5 days in the state of Uttar Pradesh. At least 70 people were injured, some critically, in the latest incident. It is the country's 5th major rail accident in the past year. And finally, Argentines Germán Vallejo and Magdalena Gutierrez brought home the first place trophy in the Salon or Pisto Tango category of the 2017 Tango World Cup on Tuesday. The soulful dramatic dance is a highlight of the annual festival that celebrates the country's traditional song and dance. Almost 500 couples entered the competition. The winners received a $60,000 prize on the trip to Paris. And that's it from us today. Remember, there is more on these and other stories on our website, telesurtv.net/English. You can also get updates on the day's biggest stories via our social media networks, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. For Telesur English, I'm Reagan Devines.